What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are listening to Podcasting Business School. This is the show where I teach podcasters how to love their podcast like a hobby, but build it like a business. If you're interested in some podcasting tips on audience engagement, audience growth, or monetization, making those downloads turn into dollars, then you're in the right place. Make sure that you hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you're hanging out. We'd appreciate that. This is a podcast audit session. And I've got my friend Con from the A Cuppa with the Conversationalist podcast. I'm very excited for this one. Con has an amazing personality, and I'm excited to discuss the ideas. So, Con, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much, Adam. Absolute pleasure. So very, very excited. Very excited. Pen at the ready. Lots of paper.
At the ready. Notepads ready. All right. So let's dive in, man. Let's start off with who the ideal listener for your show is, who you're really trying to target. Like, what's that person look like that you're like, I can help this person a bunch if they just listen to my show every single episode?
That's probably my biggest challenge, because when I started this, it was just before COVID, and it was a real general thing just to, create some entertainment and some information around what was going on. And so I'm interviewing people who have had life-changing experiences, coaches, business people. So I'm really quite foggy in terms of who my target market is, like who is the one person or the one demographic or the one avatar that would benefit from my show. I'm just not sure.
Okay. So maybe let's look at actually the monetization aspect first. And work backwards from there, because sometimes that just works best. Like, if we know the spot that we want people to land in, like you've got a speaking and communication business, right?
Yes.
Like, do you see this as being something where it could eventually use your show to grow that or to monetize that in a different way? Is that something that you'd be interested in, or no?
Definitely interested. It's not something that occurred to me. Because, as I said, when COVID hit, the speaking business basically dried up. And then I thought, well, you got to get out of bed and have a shower for a reason. So this was it. But somebody did suggest to me, because it's a public speaking and communication business, and the podcast is a couple with a conversationalist, that there could be an interconnection of the two.
So who are your ideal clients for your speaking and communication business? I know you got that dialed in.
Yeah, man, that would be corporates, middle management, executives, people who need to communicate well with their customers, with their, we'll call them superiors, or their higher level managers. People who have got to report to boards. That's my ideal client.
Okay, so now that we know that avatar of your ideal client, what if we merge the two? And with your podcast, you're having interesting conversations with interesting people. Well, I'm sure there is some cross streaming going on of the people that are your ideal clients. I bet there's some interesting people with interesting stories that fit that description as well. So what I would suggest looking at doing is going, okay, who can we bring on the show to interview that I can have a great conversation with, that they actually would fit my ideal client profile as well. I can relationship build with that person. Let me give you an example to maybe paint the picture a little bit. My friend Tom Singer is a public speaker. All right. And he does emceeing. He's a master of ceremonies. Like, speaking is his thing. And he loves to get connected to HR people, human resources people, and decision makers inside of like large companies. So he has a show called Making Waves at C-Level, as in C-suite executives. So he has C-suite executives on his show to talk about their company and how they're making waves. But that's the exact connection he needs to be hired as a speaker for that company also. You know what I'm saying? So he's got that instant relationship. Now he's top of mind with these people that are looking for speakers and masters of ceremonies and exactly what he does. So he's using the podcast to create amazing content for his listeners, but also to build a connection with the exact type person that is looking to hire a person like him. Does that make sense?
It does.
So you could do something like that, or, but maybe even easier. Like, I'm a huge fan of the style of episode that we're doing right now. That's called a coaching style episode. So let's say you grab people that are, in that corporate world that need to level up their speaking and communication. And you are going to drop some knowledge and do a mini coaching session with them as an episode of your show. Look at exactly what we're doing right now, Con. This is the template. All right. Like, your experience with me. Like, I think I know we communicated on LinkedIn, and we've kind of been in each other's worlds for a little bit. You came to a Pod Pals, and I'm like, you got to come and do a podcast audit. So the journey that you've had to this point in my world, there's no reason that can't happen to people that listen to your show or people that you run across on social media or LinkedIn or whatever. And you just bring them down that path to where it makes sense to do a little session like this. You're adding value, like I'm adding value to you. No dollars have been exchanged or anything, but they're on your email list now, and you can communicate, you can relationship build. And now you're top of mind for them as a consultant or coach, but also to everybody that's listening to this episode. And that's why I do these as often as possible. You're my 5th one today in a row. And if I had 10 of them, I'd be going 10 in a row. Like, it's just because I'm top of mind for you. As if you're down the road thinking, I need somebody to consult on my show or to help me get more downloads or whatever, I'm top of mind. But, that's great. And I'll take that every day of the week. But even more important, I've got thousands of people that are listening in. And now I'm top of mind, expert positioning. They're seeing me think on my feet, adding value to you. I don't 100% know what questions you're going to ask or whatever you're going to say. So this is real time. Me and you having a real coaching style conversation. And I release these every single Friday. So all those reps are going into their earbuds. And guess who's top of mind when they're looking for somebody that does what I do? I am. So you could do that. I could see you, because it still fits. You're still having an interesting conversation with these people. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you're learning about their business. You're learning about their business background. And then you drop there's a segment where you drop some knowledge on how they can improve their communication skills. How does that hit you? How does that feel from a content creation perspective?
The principle sounds really, really good. I guess the challenge there is one of my guests, like, just to give you an idea of a couple of the guests that I've had, one lady who has been diagnosed with an incurable cancer, and she's been on a 12-year journey. It's just listening to her just gives you a sense of perspective. And a police officer here in where I live who was shot 14 times, basically at point blank range, and couldn't be rescued by his colleagues for 3 hours, lay bleeding to death. So how can I inject my knowledge when I'm speaking to somebody like that? That's the confusion for me.
Great question. Okay. And what we do is, the through line is the conversation, right? Having great conversations, effective communication, that's the through line of everything. All right. So I want you to keep doing those episodes like you're doing, with these amazing stories, these amazing people. And that is you showing your audience the great conversation. You're delivering the great conversation, but also showing them in real time, like, this is how Con does it. This is how he creates great content, right? But then I would do a separate style of episode that's not with those people, that you're actively recruiting people in the business world come on your show. And like these are so popular, I had to release a second episode per week. So I have my normal podcast, my interviews about podcasting tips and things with podcasting experts on Tuesdays. And then on Friday, it's this podcast audit. So you could have a communications audit, a business communication level up session. My only rule is don't call it a coaching session. Don't call it a free coaching session, because nobody wants that. They won't take it seriously. But a business communications audit, I like that. something like that. I love the word audit. I'm very partial
Yeah.
and I'm biased, and I admit that. But it brings a level of seriousness in the business world because nobody wants a tax audit. They're like, I don't. It's just like, oh, it snaps them to attention. But you're kind of putting a podcast audit. I'm like, and then you'd say what you're going to audit. So, when people sign up for this, I'm like, hey, podcast audit, that's what it's going to be called. And we're going to audit your audience growth, audience engagement, and monetization potential. Oh, cool. That's awesome. So you have like those 2 or 3 key points. So if it's a business communication audit, then you're going to go, we're going to cover point X, Y, and Z with this session. And they're going, yep, need that. This sounds great. And it's free. Awesome. And we're releasing this as content on my show. So if you have a social media channel or anything, they can promote it, and it's extra promo. Maybe they've got a book. Who knows what they've got to promote. They can promote some stuff. So that is, we just start to mix these in. Maybe like when are you releasing episodes? Like what day of the week do they come out? How often? All that stuff. What's your episode release schedule look like?
Fortnightly or every 2 weeks.
Okay. This is just working out so great, Con. Here's what we do. So you keep your every 2 weeks schedule, but let's go to an every week schedule where you sprinkle in these audits on the off weeks. All right.
Okay.
Because these are easy. These are easy. These could be 15 minutes. They don't have to be half an hour. You could do 15 minutes. So you could do 30 minutes once per month. You've got 2 episodes. If you want to stretch it out to 40 or 60, and then you've got 2 20-minute episodes or 2 30-minute episodes, that's okay too. But so max 1 hour per month of recording, and the editing is basically nothing because it's just a live conversation. People aren't expecting all these bells and whistles or anything. You just put the intro, the outro, sandwich it, boom, it goes out. And it's great content. And this puts you in your ideal listener's earbuds every week, which I like a lot because I like the routine of people will listen to your show and they're on a certain day, on a certain time when they're doing a certain thing. So if you're there every week, there's not that off week where somebody else can sneak in the routine and bump you out. So I like that too. Expert positioning. Love that. Top of mind. Every other week, you get to show off your coaching. And then on the weeks when you do interviews, people are going, oh, he's using the conversation technique that he described in the coaching session last week. And they're seeing real life examples of the types of questions you're asking, how you respond, how you speak clearly, your tone, all of that stuff. Now their ears are perked up to it and they can see it in live action. So again, that's the through line. That's what connects everything. So I don't know, man. I really like that. I like it. Like it does connect. I'm not going to force a circular peg into a square hole here. Like I feel like this connects because when you look at your content like this, if there's some sort of variation, you go, okay, is this a separate show? Do I need to rebrand my show? Or is this just a separate part of the current show? And I feel like that last one is what this is. I feel like this is an alternating week episode. It still fits. I don't feel like it's a new show at all. I don't feel like it's a rebranding thing at all because the whole thing is the conversation. That's the through line all the way through. So thoughts, how are we feeling so far, man?
Yeah, actually, I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah,
I think
my biggest, we'll call it roadblock or stumbling block was the connection. But yeah, I love it.
So
I love it.
What you will do the next key step is, or the next key question to ask is, how do I find these people? Because obviously you can put a shout out on your show. Hey, I'm going to start doing these, blah, blah, blah. That will get a mediocre to non-response.
Yeah, correct.
What I would recommend is grab some current clients, some colleagues, friends, family members, and do 3 to 5 of these with people that you already know and that already know, like, and trust you. Put all of those out as episodes. During the episode, you shout out how people listening can sign up, and people will start signing up because they have to hear it first.
Yeah.
And hearing you just talk about it, they're still thinking free coaching session. They need to see what it actually is.
It is.
That's why when people listen to these every Friday, guess what happens on my email list? A whole bunch of people sign up for these because they hear it for the first time. Like, oh, damn, these are actually cool. He actually add some value here. And
Mm.
even though I talk about roughly the same 3 to 5 topics on these every single week, like I talk about what we've just talked about pretty much in every single Friday. People listen every Friday because it's just a little different angle. It's
Yep.
each example is just slightly different.
A little bit
It's-
different. Yep.
And then you never know that one week, like that's the exact same template that I need to be using. So damn it, let's get going. So that's, I mean, I think you could really crush it with your downloads and with your monetization there. These will be your most popular episodes because these are your ideal listeners coming off the sidelines, getting into the match and interacting. These are super fans. This is an email list builder of super fans. The price of admission, you got to get on the email. That's non-negotiable when I teach this. It's free. We don't charge for this. And it's expert positioning. You're going to make money. There'll be a certain percentage of people that you do this with that will go out of the session and go, I need to hire you. But the real benefit is the expert positioning and leveraged expert positioning of all the listeners going, ooh, I like what Con had to say there on that. Like, that sounds like something that I need. So when they're ready to invest, you're top of mind. And that makes all the difference. So making sense so far?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Love it.
Standing.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to, so we've talked a little bit about monetization there, kind of connecting the dots. When it comes to like audience engagement, downloads, either of those topics, any questions that you have on your list of questions? I know you got a list. Where do you want to start, man? Let's just jam on some of the stuff you want to talk about.
One of my biggest frustrations is that when I interview people, not every single one of them, but a high proportion, I always say to people at the end of when we finish, hit the stop record button, feedback. Did you enjoy the experience, et cetera, et cetera? And during the process, great question, Con. Great question. Man, great voice, great, like tick, 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 tick. You go, great. All I ask is that you share the shit out of it. Excuse me if I've sworn. Like, just share the living shit out of it, right? On all your social media channels, friends, because obviously that's where you're getting the leverage, the sharing. Yeah. And it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And I go, man, I want to reach out to them and go, did I do something wrong? Have I upset you? I haven't asked for your firstborn child or a body organ. I want you to go hit with your finger.
Okay.
And of course, the connection, the relationship between the amount of shares of the social media post with the podcast and the actual downloads is just like the correlation is just like bang on.
Yeah.
So that is just an incessant area of frustration. Incessant.
Well, let's look at some ways we can make things super shareable or super easy to share. So 2 techniques that I've used to basically, we want to leverage their audience, right? That's
correct.
the real crux of this point here. We want to leverage their audience. So whether it's them sharing a post on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, what I've found, I've had the same frustrations, and I was like, how do I just make this just stupid easy for these people? And I can leverage their audience. There are 2 social media platforms that allow you to do this really well, really easily, and they don't even realize that they're doing what they're doing. That's Instagram and Clubhouse. All right. So let's say that I have a big name speaker, somebody semi-famous on my show.
Yep.
I will go, hey, before we're done, I'll go, hey, I really would love to do a follow-up interview when this episode goes live. I would love to do a live 15-minute follow-up interview on Instagram. And I know they have a big Instagram following or whatever. And I'll explain, my audience knows that I do this. I know you've got a book coming out. This is a great way to we can have a link ready to go in my bio. They can click on it. They can buy your book. They get more ingrained. They can ask you direct questions in the feed, and they love this. And about 80% of the time I get a yes on that because it's only 15 minutes. And a lot of them are on Instagram. and it's live and it's a second exposure to my audience and it makes sense to them.
Hmm.
So all they have to do is just talk. They would rather show up and talk to me live for 15 minutes than hit the share button. Just think about that.
Yeah.
But here's what happens on Instagram. I go live and then I pull them into the live. It all happens on Instagram. There's no outside apps at all. And when I go live and pull them in, the algorithm sends a notification to all their people. All right. That they are going live. It doesn't say they're going live with me. It says they're going live.
Just going live, yeah.
Yes. It's the only social media platform that does that. Facebook doesn't do that. LinkedIn doesn't do that. YouTube doesn't do that. So it automatically does it. And every 12 to 15 minutes, as far as I can tell, and it's always changing, it'll do another push notification. So that's what I like to go. If I can get them for 20 minutes or even 15, that usually gives me 2 push notifications to their audience. I did this for 15 minutes with my first health podcast. I had a couple come on. They had like 300,000 Instagram followers. We did 15 minutes. I gained 300 new followers, ideal potential customers in 15 minutes from their audience. And they're all downloading my show. A bunch of them joined my membership. I made a bunch of money off of 15-minute Instagram live because it fed it gave me a direct link to their audience. All right. So that's one platform. The other one's Clubhouse. All right. So you go on Clubhouse and then you pull in a recent guest. So same thing. Now I've been giving people the option. I love to do a follow-up interview. I either do these on Instagram or Clubhouse. Where are you most active? Where are you most comfortable? Where do you like to be? And they let me know, Instagram, Clubhouse. But I'll do the same thing on Clubhouse where I pull them into a room. It's a discussion on the topic they discussed on my show. We promote their episode. Now we can have a direct link on Clubhouse. So we can have that link to their book, to their episode, their podcast, the episode of my show, whatever. But when they start chattering on Clubhouse, that push notification goes out. So-and-so's talking. They're talking. Let's go. And the same thing happens. So Instagram is choice 1 for me still. Clubhouse is a close second. And I get, again, 80% of the time at the end of the interview, I just talk about a follow-up. I really make it a reason. Like, people love to come on other people's podcasts. So another chance to share and go deeper with my audience, promote their stuff. I hardly ever get a no. And I will take that over sharing a Facebook image every single time, 100% of the time. Because if they share my image, 6% of their following will see that. If they share it on LinkedIn, it might be 15%, maybe, but it's not 100%. And I will have hundreds of people come into my world from these lives. And that's way more effective and efficient for me. So that is, and then just going like next level, like shareability outside of that. I've had a lot of success with video highlight clips in Facebook and Instagram stories, where all they have to do is hit the share button, and it's a video clip, especially if you catch them saying something smart or funny. If you make them looking smart or funny, they'll hit that little share button because it's a video clip and it'll go to their story. What a lot of people are hesitant to do is share anything in their Instagram feed because it's all like curated and it's all branded and it's all like certain colors and things. And if yours doesn't fit that, it looks weird. But their story, that disappears after 24 hours. So they're much more likely to share that out. So option 1, follow-up live interview on Instagram or Clubhouse. Option 2, I do the Instagram story share anyway. I always do. Somebody comes on my show, I'm going to do 2 60-second highlight clips, video. That's why I got StreamYard like we're on right now. It looks good. It's branded. And it's very shareable. They hit the share on their story. It's very easy. A lot of them have people handling their accounts for them, and they just train them to hit the share button because it's just content in their story. It makes them look good, and that puts it out there. So those are my 2 go-tos, and that's where I've done pretty well with. So any thoughts or ideas around that, Con?
Yeah. Obviously, you don't know what you don't know. Shout out to my daughter, Natalie, who actually runs a digital marketing agency here in Adelaide. But it's a bit like, the electrician's house is the worst wired one in the street, and the plumber's house has got the worst plumbing because they're too busy doing everyone else's work. Yeah. So I love you, Natalie. But So
Instagram
you
Live.
don't know what you don't know. Yeah. Instagram Live.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, I think we got time for one more, man. Like what's that
All right.
next big question you've got, and let's tackle it.
I guess the next one, from a creative perspective, and this again not being a creative one, is the podcast logo. That appears on Spotify and everywhere else. Um, any suggestions or recommendations around that? Like, does it need to be simple? Does it need to have who the guest is and what their qualifications are? Does my ugly face have to be on the promo every week? Like, what are some absolute must do's and some absolute don't think about
Yeah.
it do?
So you're talking about the episode promo art, like for an
Yeah,
episode.
yeah.
So like I don't put a lot of thought into the like a static image because they don't
Mm,
do really great on social media. So I think more in terms of like the video. So if I am releasing an episode, one of the first things I put out is a 60-second highlight video. That way it's just like you're experiencing it instead of going,
mm,
well, that's an interesting picture of a guy and an interesting title or whatever.
mm,
So it could be episode blah, 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 and then the title and then a 60-second video. And it's like, that's what's above and below it. I
mm,
like that a lot because it's great shareable content. But when it goes to like a static image, if you have somebody that's recognizable, you got to get their face on there and their name. I wouldn't worry about putting you on there.
yeah.
If like I don't have a recognizable name brand, people aren't looking for my big bald head on social media. So I don't worry about putting my face on anything at all. People recognize my voice,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
not my face. But I like, you want the catchy episode title that's going to draw people in. Like what's the question that your episode answers in
yeah.
that conversation? I think I make that a feature for sure. And if it's not in the image, it's the first line of the text that describes the image. So maybe it's a beautiful image of the guest and it's got some cool colors and branding, episode, blah, blah, blah. And then the first line of text is the have you ever question, or how, have you ever thought about, have you ever experienced, have you ever whatever. And you write it like you're speaking directly to one person. That's the other thing. It's not, what do you all think about this? It's just like,
Yeah.
have you ever, you reader right now? That works really well. So something like that, and just keeping it simple. Like you can't go wrong with just a big, well-branded image of somebody that's recognizable, not worrying about you, colors that make sense, episode, blah, blah, blah. And then start off with, you're literally starting the conversation. Like what is the question that starts the conversation for that episode? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, absolutely it does.
Yeah.
Absolutely it does.
And
Man, wow.
like you got a great personality and great energy, great voice. Like I really do think video, like leveraging video content as much as possible, where just streamlining some systems like what we're doing now. Like I use StreamYard. I'll take this video, I'll load it up into an app called Descript. And Descript is cool because you can edit the video with the text. So I'll have all the text pulled up. If I delete a paragraph of text, it deletes that section of the video. If I highlight,
what's that called?
it's I knew you're gonna love that. It's DESCRIPT, Descript.
DESCRIPT.
Yep, I've got a link that I'm gonna send you in all my notes, so I've got that noted. But it's awesome because you can highlight, the 60-second clip, delete everything else really quick, and then you've got it right there. And so you don't have to edit the video at all. You just take out the ums and the stutters or whatever you want, and you can even.
I'm a public speaking professional. Adam. There are no ums and awkward moments.
No. I recently. This is how much I like to do the opposite of what everybody else does. I've got a health show, and I've got two co-hosts, and everybody else edits all those words out. I did a 60-second highlight of every and stutter. That's all it was. It's going yes, so like that's all it was. And people were just like, it hurt people's brains. They're like, when does it start? When does the thing, when do they say something? So yeah, that was awesome.
That's
But
hilarious.
yeah, but with the script, it's easy. You can just highlight words and letters and just mush it all together. It's a quick editing job, and it
Mm,
all looks good. So that's something that I would definitely look into, and I can kind of tell you some more about that off air. But yeah,
mm.
man, I think
Awesome.
you've got the makings of a really great, what I call community to client bridge. I can see
Mm,
people listening in, they're seeing you deliver great conversations. They're entertained by those. Then the mentorship episodes come on and they're like, damn, like this guy can really help people level up. And then you just have that nice little balance. And all of a sudden, top of mind, expert positioning kicks in. And what starts to happen to the bank account, you'll see the downloads go up, see the downloads turn into dollars. And that's what we want. And that's
Amen,
always
brother.
good. Always good. So, Con, we're coming to the end of our time here. I want to make sure that you get a chance to shout out your website, your branding. Where do people go to hang out with you on social media? All that good stuff. So, go ahead and take the mic, my friend.
You're awesome, man. My email address is con@koutsikis.com, and Koutsikis is spelled Koutsikis. My website is www.konkoutsikis.com. I'm on Facebook, Con Koutsikis, and all the other social platforms. Just type in my name and you'll see me there. And my podcast is a Cuppa with the Conversationalist on Spotify, on every other platform that you can possibly think of known to man.
Outstanding. Go get a cuppa with the conversationalist.
Yeah.
All right, pod pals, if you want to do a podcast audit just like the conversationalist right here, you can do that. Head on over to the website, podcastingbusiness.school. Get on the list. We are booking for 2022. And I love to do these. I love to interact. I love to add value and just show what I can do from a coaching perspective. So, Con, I'm excited for you. I think we got off to a great start. We've got some great momentum going here with these ideas. I can't wait to see what you do with those with implementation. And I appreciate you, being willing to come off the sidelines and get in the game here with me today.
Man, absolute pleasure. I really, really appreciate the opportunity, and it's been very enlightening. And I've got some really strong strategies that I can start to implement.
Outstanding. All right, pod pals. As always, I'm going to send you out there into the world today, wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We will see you all on the next episode.